Hey everybody, CJ Burnett here with Florida Veterinary Advisors. Excited to show you the system, the code that we cracked when it comes to financial decision making. So if you're here, you're interested in knowing exactly what you should be doing next when it comes to your financial life. Most veterinarians, you're running and gunning, you're going to work, you're coming home, you're trying to figure out how to juggle life and work and hobbies and the spouse and the kids, and it can get very chaotic. So another thing is that you might be very confused. There's a lot of opinions out there from financial entertainers and different people, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your brother, people on YouTube, right? You Google articles and you're going and reading through all this stuff, and then you think like, I'm too busy trying to survive to be able to dig through all of the information that's out there to make sure that I'm doing what's best for my financial life. And obviously that then creates more stress, right? So if you're not stressed about your cash flow, if you're not stressed about income and money and budgeting, then you must be doing a really, really good job at it to not be stressed. Or you're just like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna know what to do anyway, so why stress about it? I'm just gonna not worry about it and do what I wanna do. Also, the other thing that I mentioned here is that most veterinarians feel embarrassed about their financial life. They're not really sure if what they're doing is producing results. And going and talking to a financial person, like, that's kind of intimidating. It's weird. Like, what are they gonna ask? What are they gonna say? What are they gonna think if they look at how much debt you have or how much income you have? So I'm hoping that this video gives you some insight into how we think so that you could go about the same exact process that we use whenever we're helping veterinarians decide on what they need to be doing next with their financial life. So let's start with the steps. There's really 5 steps. There's really 5 things that you need to think about as you're going through a financial decision to work through whether or not it's a good idea or not. Because we don't want to get on the other side of a financial decision and think, well, geez, that really didn't work out. I'm really mad I did that. This system here is supposed to give you a linear way of thinking so that as you go about making financial decisions, you're not stuck. If you're unsure how to prioritize what you've got to do first, second, and third, I'm hoping this will help. So let's talk about the first step in this systematic way of thinking. The first step is to get clarity on where you are. What does that mean? Well, you got to get organized. You got to get organized in a way where you know where everything is. You know what it does. So most of our financial lives look like the junk drawer in the kitchen, right? I know you have one. Don't lie to me. If you have a junk drawer in the kitchen, you open it up, you have a bunch of stuff. You're not really sure what some of the stuff does. It's kind of a hodgepodge of just a mess, and you're looking for a hammer. You're not really sure where the hammer is. Maybe it's in the back, right? And when your financial life looks much like the junk drawer in the kitchen, it's very hard to know what you need to do next. It's very hard to know what you have, or if you even need what you have. Maybe you need more of something that you have, but you're not sure what that is. So first thing you want to think about is getting clarity on where you are. So how do you get clarity on where you are? You start with something that is a few hundred years old. I think it's so old that Buddha had one. It's a balance sheet. So a balance sheet looks like this. You have assets. What are assets? Well, assets are things that you own. Okay, so a home, a car, checking account, retirement accounts, anything that you have that has value to somebody else is considered an asset. Okay, then you take an inventory of your liabilities. What are your liabilities? Well, liabilities are things that you owe. You owe to a bank. You owe to like a student loan payment. You owe taxes. Anything that you owe is a liability. It's something that you're gonna have to pay for either per month or at some point in the future. Now, if you sold all your assets, right? Like if you turned all your assets into cash and then you paid off all your liabilities, whatever you stick in your pocket is what we call your net worth. This is a pretty big deal. So if you want to know what number can tell you how successful you're being in financial decision making over time, it's this number, this one number right here, net worth. Your net worth should be going up. right? That is success. Success is that net worth growing over time. Whether it be growing from investments, whether it be growing from your cash flow because you're saving more, it doesn't really matter, right? Your net worth should be going up. That is success. That should be defined as success. Now, your net worth represents two things. It represents every decision you've made in your life, right? Some of you are cringing, some of you are like, yeah. Your net worth is a reflection of every asset that you've purchased. It's a reflection of every debt you've taken on. It's a reflection of every decision that you've made, whether you're 20 years old or 60 years old. Your net worth is going to reflect those decisions. The second thing it represents your hopes and dreams whenever you get to that spot in your life that you can't work, right? Now, when you're older, eventually, like, we can't work forever. Eventually your body gives out. You can't, you're 70, you're 80, you're 90 years old, like, you can't work indefinitely because eventually our bodies just deteriorate. And when it comes to our net worth and we can't earn income anymore because our bodies just aren't able to, then we have to rely on something else to produce the income to pay our bills. And that something else is our net worth. So that's why it's important. So when you get organized, the first step of getting organized is, what does your balance sheet look like? What are your assets? Take an inventory of your assets. Take an inventory of your liabilities. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you something that's completely complimentary. You can click, you fill out the form below this video, and we're going to give you access to a web-based platform that will help walk you through this so that you can get organized, you starting with your balance sheet. Now, it doesn't stop here. You don't stop with just your balance sheet. Your balance sheet is a snapshot in time, right? So your assets are gonna grow and they're gonna fluctuate. Your 401k is gonna fluctuate because they're invested. Your liabilities, they're gonna change too, right? You might take on more credit card debt or you might pay off credit card debt. Those are gonna change over time. So this is really a snapshot in time. It's not meant to show the complete picture. So how do we get the complete picture? Well, the next thing we do is we add cash flow. I'm gonna add a little foundation to a house, right? As we're gonna call this cash flow. So you have an income from being a veterinarian and you have bills. So you have money coming in and you have money going out. And some of your money might go to your assets. Some of your money might go to liabilities. But at the end of the day, whatever's not being retained on your balance sheet, either in the form of increasing your net worth by increasing your assets or decreasing your liabilities, whatever's left over goes and gets spent, right? That's your lifestyle. That's your electricity bill. That's drinks out with friends. That is diapers if you've got babies. So all those things that you pay for and those dollars that leave your life that never come back, right? That's all going to be reflected right here in cash flow. So that's the foundation of your financial life. The last part of this is protection. Protection is going to sit on top. It's going to be the roof over our house, right? If your roof has a leak and it rains, water gets in your house, can cause a lot of damage. So there are things in our life as we go throughout time, as we go through our careers and having kids and building families and building businesses, there are things in our life, there's events that will try to attack our balance sheet and try to attack our ability to build wealth. They'll try to attack our cash flow, right? And those kind of things, those catastrophic things, can oftentimes completely ruin and devastate a financial plan. So understanding what you have in the protection area can at least give you a leg up when you're looking at your balance sheet and your cash flow and trying to understand and organize everything that you have, so that you can see, because some of you may not have certain things in the protection domain that you don't even know about. A lot of people don't even know what an umbrella policy is. They've never heard of it. They call the insurance company. The insurance company doesn't tell them about a lot of things, right? You're kind of on the end of being responsible to educating yourself and knowing what's out there. So then if you did need something, you don't find out in hindsight. Because in this protection part, this is the only domain out of all four of these things where once something happens, you can't go back and change it. You can't get in a car accident and then call your auto insurance company and say, hey, can you increase my limits because I hit somebody with my car and I hurt them real bad and they're probably going to sue me. Insurance company's going to say no. They'll increase it from here forward, but they're not going to increase it for the accident that you just had. So it's important to really get organized to understand where you are from a net worth and your cash flow and your protection piece, so then you can start going through everything and making sure that you have what you want and that you don't have what you don't want. And again, right below this video, if you're having trouble getting organized and you need a tool, just fill out the information below. We'll send you a link. We'll get you a tool. We're going to give you that tool completely complimentary, because at the end of the day, we're trying to help you at least take the next step in your financial journey to become more aware of what's going on. Okay. So the second step in this process is to take steps towards protecting against the catastrophic, right? So take steps to protect against the catastrophic. I hope I spelled that right. Oh goodness. No. Houston, we have a problem. All right. So you take the steps to protect against the catastrophic. What does that look like? What does that mean, CJ? Well, so there are different, again, coming back to getting organized, right? That roof that we just talked about, the protection roof, right? There are different things that you're going to need to look at in order to make sure that your balance sheet and your cash flow are protected. So you're not going to know what those things are unless there's something out there like a checklist. Like we actually have a checklist that we can go through with you. It's on the tool that you're going to get. The tool is called the Living Balance Sheet, right? So it's things like auto insurance, homeowners insurance, umbrella policies, disability insurance, health insurance, long-term care insurance, legal documents like a will, a healthcare surrogate, a power of attorney, a trust, life insurance. What about life insurance? It's all of those specific type of insurance protection items in order to run through and make sure that you have what you want. Not that you have what you need. I think that word need gets a little wonky, right? Because there are some things that some people just don't need. Some people don't need insurance, but they want insurance because they want to make sure that in the event that unexpected event happens in their life, that their financial plan doesn't get completely devastated by it. Now, the third step in this system is to gain control of your cash flow, right? So gain control of your cash flow. Interesting, CJ. Gain control over my cash flow. What does that mean? So your cash flow, you have income that's coming in, and you have bills to pay, and you have debts to pay, and you're trying to save a little bit of money on the side for an emergency or a rainy day, or for when the next coronavirus happens. You're trying to gain control of your cash flow. What does that mean? So for some people, that means budgeting, right? And so there are different tools out there, and depending on your lifestyle, depending on how busy you are, depending on what motivates you, I think would depend on how you're going to track your cash flow. Because budgeting budgeting works for some, but it doesn't work for a lot of people because they're too busy. So there are different systems that are out there that you can use in order to take control of your cash flow, right? But that's the third one. So we talked about getting organized, right? More than likely right now today, the next step for you is to just get organized, right? Fill out that worksheet below this video, and we'll send you a link that'll get you to a platform that'll help you get organized, get your balance sheet set up, get your cash flow, get your protection, right? You can do all that on your own, right? You can reach out to us if you need help, but for the most part, we're giving that to you complimentary today because you were introduced to us pretty recently, and we want to make sure that we give you more than you ever thought possible, especially through the things that we're giving away. So to get protected, get organized, get protected, gain control over your cash flow. Fourth one. Here we go. Build liquidity. What does that mean, CJ? What is liquidity? I didn't know water. No, it's not water. So the fourth step is to keep control of the cash you save. So what does that mean? So you keep control of the cash you save. So if you're saving money and you're putting money towards something, are you putting it in places that continue to have control? Liquidity is how fast something moves to cash. So real estate is not very liquid, because if you wanted to sell your house, you'd have to put it on the market. You wait for people to come by the house to look at it, to inspect it. Then someone puts in an offer, you go under contract. Then there's this 2-month waiting period between the mortgage underwriting and the people coming out and looking at the property and all that kind of stuff. So, sometimes it can take a while to sell a piece of real estate. Cash is very liquid. Cash, you can go to the grocery store and you can literally hand the cashier cash. That is liquid. That cash is liquid. A retirement account is not liquid for a lot of you because you might be under 59 and a half, and if you're putting money in a 401k, that 401k you can't access without a 10% penalty until you're 59 and a half. And if it's tax deferred, then you got to pay the taxes on those dollars that you pull out too. So you got to pay the taxes and a 10% penalty in the event that you do that. So it's really important if you're saving money, right? You got control over your cash flow and now you're saving money, that you at least put some of it in places that allows you to keep control and you still have access to it if you needed it. So this leads me to the final step, the fifth step. The fifth step, which is a pretty critical one to get right. We've got to do these things in this order. When I'm looking at what my financial plan should look like, this is what I got to get organized, I got to get protected, I got to start saving money, I got to learn how to manage my cash flow, gain control over my cash flow. I got to make sure I keep control of the cash that I save from my cash flow. And then the fifth and final one is determine a realistic, that's important, time frame to pay off my debt. So when you get organized and you have an inventory of all of your debt, and you know how much credit card debt, how much the auto loans, the student loans, and you have all that together, right? The next one is to actually determine a realistic time frame to pay off your debt. Now, I'll tell you this one, when you can figure out a realistic time frame to pay off your debt, because right now it might be a mountain. Your student loans might still be huge and you're 5 years out of school. A lot of you might be on an income-based repayment plan. When you can determine a realistic time frame and you get control over exactly like what's that strategy that you're going to use to use cash flow and build assets so that your assets become a tidal wave and you outsave your debt. When you get an idea of what that's going to look like, the amount of stress that you have is going to come down. Like, you're gonna start realizing, okay, you know what? Once you have a realistic time frame as far as how long it's gonna take to pay off your debt, you're gonna be able to do other things in your lifestyle and know that it's okay, and not always be worried about, well, if I do this thing, then that means I won't have the money to put more towards my student loans and I'm gonna be in debt longer. And it's not like, this becomes less emotional when you actually have a plan behind it. Now, the other scary thing is that I put this as fifth. So let me go ahead and summarize this. Let's put a nice pretty bow on it. Need a new eraser. Okay, so the first one, we got to get organized. That's pretty critical, right? We've got to get clarity on where you are right now. The second thing is we got to protect. Right? Even if you don't want insurance, at least you know that you don't want it. At least you know what insurance is out there that you don't want, so that you can actively say, no, you know what? I think I'll take the risk of something bad happening to me, and I'm not going to be protected. At least you know what you're not protecting, and at least you have a complete understanding of what kind of auto insurance you have and how it's going to protect you in certain situations, and how life insurance works and all that kind of stuff. And then the third thing is become a world-class saver. World-class saver, right? Saving a significant amount of your income. Fourth one is to build liquidity. Remember, liquidity equals control. So as life changes and it moves and it flexes, and like you get out of school and you start paying off all your debt real quick, and then you realize that you have a wedding to pay for because you just got proposed to, like, that's not a good position, because you could, that extra $20,000 that you put towards your student loans, well, now you can't get that money back, right? And now you're gonna have to pay for a wedding, and you're gonna go back into debt. You're gonna have to take on credit card debt if somebody else doesn't have the cash lying around in order to pay for the wedding. And then the fifth thing is to pay off Pay off your debt, or at least get a realistic time frame in your mind. Like, have a strategy, have an understanding, determine what makes sense in regards to how you're going to pay off your debt, right? You don't have to pay off your debt all right now, but at least get a strategy so that you have balance in your life. Now, if you look at these 5 things, what's really kind of scary is that when you look at these 5 things, you'll notice that, like, what do most people put first? Which one of these are most people putting first in their life? If they have short-term debt, more than likely they're looking at paying off their debts. Like, they give up liquidity. They give up control over cash and liquid assets and liquid investments. They give that up for the sake of paying off their debt. They're making that. They're putting number 5 above number 4. But the problem with debt is that when the only reason why you have debt, there's only one reason, and it's because you didn't have the cash. If you had the cash to pay for your student, if you had the cash to pay for your school, you wouldn't go into debt. You wouldn't have student loans. Those just wouldn't exist. So looking at debt, right? The only reason why you're in debt is because you didn't have number 4. You didn't have the cash. You didn't have the control. You didn't have the liquidity. So we've got to make number 4, because at the end of the day, the only thing standing between you and more debt is this. It's cash. It's liquidity. It's money. So, and if number 4, so if you put number 5 before number 4, you may never get number 4. You may never build enough of a buffer between you and that short-term debt. And then if number 4, if you don't have number 4, I can almost assure you, you're not doing number 3. Number 3 is not happening if you don't have control, if you don't have assets, liquid assets, then I can tell you right now, you're not saving money. And saving money for your long-term plan is different than saving money to eventually spend it. So some people will tell me, hey, I saved $20,000 this year. Fantastic. I'm looking at your checking account, I'm looking at your savings account. Where is that $20,000? Oh, I had to buy a car. Well, that's not really saving if you're just going to save it to spend it on something else, right? The savings I'm talking about is saving for your long-term plan. So becoming a world-class saver will automatically allow number 4 to happen, right? This is a lead measure to this lag measure. And most people put protection at the very bottom of the list, which is why they're buying the cheapest insurance. They're trying to save $10 a month, but they really don't realize that they're leaving themselves completely exposed to liability and risk that is, okay, you save $10 a month on that insurance policy, but you opened yourself up to another $100,000 of risk. So getting organized, right? We've all got to start here. We got to get organized first. We got to know what do you have in these areas. Take an inventory, get a balance sheet, your cash flow, your protection, get all that together. And then once you do that, then it's a matter of just working through it and taking one thing at a time and going through this. And every time someone asks us, hey, should I pay off my debt? My next question is, do you have any liquidity? Are you a world-class saver? Are you protected? Because if you're paying off your debt and you're not protected, and you're putting that before being protected, you could end up getting in a position where there's something that you've got a liability to pay because you weren't protected, lawsuit or whatever. So let's talk about getting organized. So I said at the end of this video, I was going to give you an invitation to get something complimentary on the house. It's all for you. It's a tool called the Living Balance Sheet. Fill out the form below and we'll give you access to it, completely complimentary. That will help you at least take that next step to get organized and start giving you the ability to inventory everything that you have so that you know what you need to do and you have an order in which to do it. I hope this helps. Look forward to seeing you soon. I'm CJ Burnett with Florida Veterinary Advisors. We'll see you next time.